What's up, guys? It's time to update my Oscar predictions for the month of June. The next kind of film festival isn't until end of August with Venice, so these next 2 months are kind of just we're sitting pretty. We're kind of in limbo, seeing if anything kind of crazy happens, any trailers come out, get some more information about the movie. So there's been a few changes. We're also added a few categories, so let's get into it. Best Picture, I have Sinners number one. I think it's going to stay number one for a while. It's like Everything Everywhere All at Once, where it kind of came out early, and the conversation just never stopped. And I think how original it is, and this being like kind of like Ryan Coogler's like magnus opus, I just think it's like a perfect storm for this movie. And it's critics are loving it, audiences are loving it. I think it's gonna be the Oscars are gonna love it. Number two, I have Sentimental Value. This and Sinners are the only ones that people have seen in full, or I've seen, or it's not like you've heard from another source or a source of a source. Sentimental Value, I think, could be a big movie. They kind of snubbed him with Worst Person in the World. He only got like 2 nominations. I think they can over-nominate him. A lot of acting, some text. Number three, Begonia. Trailer just came out. It's very Poor Things, very The Favorite, and the Oscars have loved that movie. So I definitely think it's if it can live up to the trailer, because the trailer was fantastic. It's not a period piece, so I don't think it's going to get as many texts. This could be the exception where they do want to recognize it, but I still think, even though not being a period piece, it can get a lot of nominations based on the trailer. Let's see if it lives up to it. And it's definitely not a Kinds of Kindness. It is definitely a Poor Things and the Favorite. Next is Wicked for Good. The trailer also came out. Very good trailer. I thought it was a very good trailer. The more I think about this movie, the more people are saying it could kind of go either way, where it gets the same amount as the first one, or it's going to get like snubbed, kind of shut out. I think it's going in where it's going to get recognized just as much as the first one did, because of now the popularity of Wicked Part 1 and how much the Oscars loved it. It's just a lot more attention. So I think if John M. Chu can stick the landing with For Good, this Part 2, I think they're kind of coasting to the Oscars with a lot of nominations. I think it's going to be like similar to Lord of the Rings from 1 to 2 and Godfather from 1 to 2, where both got a lot of nominations, and the second one still performed well nomination-wise and win-wise. Monty Supreme, I just think I'm hearing it's a very weird movie, and I think this, like I said before in other videos, if they balance that line correctly, it's a period piece coming out at Christmas, Timothée Chalamet, Safdie brother, Josh Safdie. It's kind of the combination of things that sound like a good Oscar movie. If they can kind of toe that line where it's weird but still amazing, sort of like a Poor Things, where they're able to kind of toe that line with how kooky it is, but still bring in a good movie. I think then we're gonna get a good movie, and I think it's gonna get recognized a lot. It's giving me kind of like Scorsese vibes a little bit, where like it's a movie that like it's a very Oscar-y movie. It seems like if done correctly. Next, Jay Kelly. I've heard some people say Netflix is really going to push this. It's one of its like big pushes for this year. From Noah Baumbach's track record with just Marriage Story at Netflix, I can see it kind of playing the same, kind of having the same path for that movie. One Battle After Another. I think it's going to get nominated. I just think it's at the bottom end of the list. I just think it depends on like the reception. If critics are liking it, audiences are liking it. I think the more people like it, the higher it is on. It's going to go to be nominated for Best Picture. I think it's his biggest movie, and I think that will lend towards the crafts. I'm not sure about the acting and stuff like that, but I think it's definitely not getting nominated. It's just depending on how the movie is, where on the list it's going to sit. Next, Avatar: Fire and Ash. I just never want to bet against James Cameron. The only thing is that Avatar 1 got a bunch of nominations. Avatar 2 got a lot less. But the whole thing with Avatar 2 was that, like, I think the reason they got Best Picture was because it was like, we waited 10 plus years for this movie. From 2 to 3, we're only waiting 3 or 4, I think it is. So I don't know if the hype is going to be as big for this movie. And, it depends on what they can bring. It depends on how they can, like, say this is like, going to be like why this one is special apart from the other two. If they can't figure out a reason, I don't know if it's good enough to get an Oscar nomination, but also all the other two have been nominated. So it's like, I feel like it's gonna get nominated, but in my gut, I can see there being a small percentage of being like Oscar Moore, and people are like, oh my God, Avatar 2 didn't get it. After getting, Golden Globe, critics, PGA, I can't see that. So that's why it's really, I don't want to bet against James Cameron, so I'm putting it in there. But I want to see, as we get closer to the movie, how are people feeling? Does it look as good as the other two? If they approve upon it from the other two, I think it's definitely going to get nominated as well. Then we have Frankenstein. The trailer came out when I did my last video. I don't know how people, if it seems Oscar-y, but nowadays that's not really a thing anymore. It's Oscars recognize a lot more movies than they used to. It's Guillermo del Toro, so he has a good track record. Shape of Water might have not seemed Oscar-y, but it won Best Picture. So I think if this movie, it does seem very big budgeted, like the Oscars might not want to pay attention to it if they have a few other blockbuster or big movies in this lineup, like with Wicked and Avatar and stuff like that. They may not want to recognize it, but I do think Guillermo del Toro, it could surprise people. So I'm putting it in there because I heard he's really adapting it from the book very, very very closely. So, and I think the trailer really piqued a lot of people's interest. So I hope it's more of a Shape of Water, more of a Pan's Labyrinth than like a like Pacific Rim or Hellboy. But I think it's going more in the first choice. Then I have Deliver Me From Nowhere. We also got a trailer for this. And I'm a little concerned. It's going to be exactly like A Complete Unknown, and it's the Oscars to be like, we just recognized this. We just gave it a bunch of nominations. It had that surge, and like I feel like if A Complete Unknown didn't have a surge at the end, maybe there'd be room for this. But I'm a little nervous that they're going to be like, we just did this. Why are we going to do it again? But if they can pull it off, it's a good movie, because I do think the Oscars like musical biopics, and I think what people liked about Complete Unknown, it wasn't just like a from the beginning to the end type of story. It was focused on one part, and I think people liked that. This one is doing similar, where it's focusing on one album and kind of introspectively. So it could be different. But just based off the trailer, it looks very Complete Unknown, and I'm nervous that like how it was with like Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocketman. Bohemian Rhapsody got all the love. Rocketman came out, was a better movie in my opinion, and no one really cared about it. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope it's not just like a Best Actor and that's it, because I do think he is probably going to get nominated no matter what, if the movie's in Best Picture or not, just based on his like how he's rising and like his rising star and all that. But I am really curious to see if they're willing to like kind of eat up, what's a good way to say it, if they're willing to eat the same meal this close together. After The Hunt, I do think this is going to be a big acting movie. I just don't know if like Luca Guadagnino does not have a good track record with the Oscars. Call Me By Your Name is his only movie that really like was successful at the Oscars. After The Hunt, like I said, does seem like an acting movie. I've heard good things. I feel like Amazon's going to really push this movie. I can see it kind of like maybe like being like the Spotlight type of movie, and it surges like when it comes out. There's not a lot of hype for it, and also everyone's like, "Wow, this is an amazing movie." I do think the star power in it is going to help it as well. This may be Luca Guadagnino's chance to get Best Director. After last year, people I think wanted to give it to him, but like the two movies kind of canceled each other out. Where this one, he might be able to like, now that he has that traction, come in with this movie and kind of like seal the deal. But then we have Life of Chuck. Life of Chuck, I feel like, is doing what Sing Sing did, where they held it for too long and now no one's talking about it. Came out, kind of fit, no one really talked about it. I think it's going to be a really hard challenge for Neon to do, especially now that Neon has a lot of other movies there, Sentiment to Value being one of them, that they're going to be pushing. I do think Neon it's going to be like what A24 did with Sing Sing, where they had other ones to push, and they're just going to have to try and push it a little bit and see if they can get a few nominations. Life of Chuck might get a few. Sing Sing was able to pull out, 2 nominations, I think, with acting and screenwriting. So it could follow that path. I just think they waited way too long. This movie would have to, I think this movie, I haven't seen it yet, but it has to be incredible, and I heard it's very good, but not incredible, to keep that conversation going, because I already see it starting to fizzle out. If they can do something big towards like in the fall, maybe it might have a resurgence, and maybe if they can get some traction at film festivals and some nominations, it can kind of rise in the conversation, but I do think it's starting to seem like it fizzled out too quickly. Then we have The Secret Agent, a Brazilian movie that came out of Cannes. I'm not counting anything out after I'm Still Here. They really pushed I'm Still Here, so I wonder if they're gonna do the same with The Secret Agent. Maybe the Brazilian audience can really push this movie along as well. Then we have It Was an Accident, the winner of the Palme d'Or at Cannes. Um, I feel like the kind of conversation kind of fell off a little bit. It might, some other festivals can pick up a little bit, but I do think it's more of the Cedar Sacred Fig route, where it was people were talking about it at Cannes. Cedar Sacred Fig did not win Palme d'Or, but people were talking about it, and then slowly kind of fizzled out, but still ended up getting a few nominations. I do think that's where it's gonna lead for. It was just an accident. Not every Palme d'Or is gonna win Best Picture like what happened last year with Honora and then winning Best Picture. Then we have Hamnet, Chloe Zhao's movie about Shakespeare. Seems very Oscar baity, which lends itself well for this movie. Her last Oscar contender was Nomadland. She did Eternals. I liked it, but that wasn't an Oscar contender. The last one that she had that was in the Oscar talks was Nomadland, and she won Best Director, she won Best Picture, it won a bunch of stuff. So Chloe Zhao knows what to do with a movie, so I'm not counting that one out yet. I do think it could be buried among everything coming out in the fall, so we'll see. Then we have Catherine Bigelow's House of Dynamite. Finally got a name. It was just the untitled Catherine Bigelow political thriller at Netflix. I can see this being similar to After the Hunt, big acting movie, a good screenplay movie. I just don't know anything about it yet. I don't know if it's going to be a movie that people are thinking it's going to be one big thing and it premieres on Netflix and they're like, oh, that's it? Okay. But, I don't know. There's also last time Catherine Bigelow had a movie and James Cameron had a movie. Both their movies did pretty well. So maybe that's going to happen again with Avatar, Fire and Ash, and, House of Dynamite. But yeah, I'm not going to count that one out yet. I want to see a trailer. I want to see some more about the movie. But I definitely think this has potential. Rental Family has an interesting idea. It's Searchlight's, I believe, only movie. And I'm wondering if because they know they have a very good movie on their hands, that they're putting all their eggs in this basket. Possibly can happen. Ballad of a Small Player, Edward Berger movie, All Quiet on the Western Front, Conclave, both did very well. Both got Best Picture nominations. But I heard Ballad of a Small Player is a much smaller movie, quieter movie, so we'll see. The Rivals of Amazon King, I heard very good at South by Southwest. No one's bought it. That's kind of concerning that no one's really touching this movie. So maybe after a few festivals might perk back up, but right now it's starting to fall off the list. And then F1. F1, I heard is like a dad movie, a really popular. I heard it's like the best dad movie of the year. And sometimes the Oscars like that. I heard it's not as good. I'm seeing it actually after I record this video, going to see it. I heard it's not as good as Ford v Ferrari, but that's what people kind of said about Ford v Ferrari. It was a very dad-friendly movie. So could F1 follow in the same path? Best Director, I have Ryan Coogler at number 1. It's his magnus opus. It's his baby. I think he has a good narrative for it. And also, Best Director was never won by a black man. I think now's the time. This year is his year. I think what he was able to do directing for this movie was nothing short of incredible. I think he deserves to be on the list no matter what. It's more of is he winning or not? I do think he's always going to be in that top spot because I think he's proved himself. And this is the movie where it's oh, now we see you. We've been following you and we've loved everything. And this was your grand finale for this is what I'm capable of, and I'm going to do more of this. I can see him winning this whole thing. Sentimental Value, Joachim Trier. I do think he's this is the foreign movie right now, unless something else comes up, but there could be 2 also. Like I said before, they're going to give him a lot of nominations, including directing. I heard what he did with this movie is very impressive. I heard it has good directing. So, like I said, I think Sinners and Sentimental Value are going to be at the top of a lot of things that I think are capable of getting nominations because people have seen them. Yorgos Lanthimos, they love movies that he directs and does not write. That is Begonia. Like I said, the trailer came out, looks fantastic, looks very Yorgos Lanthimos, and so I think he is a lock. They love him. Is this his time to win? We'll have to see how the race shapes up. Josh Safdie, Marty Supreme, like I said, if he can balance that fine line of weird, but normal and weird balance line with a period piece and all that stuff. I think him and Timothée Chalamet can really create something really interesting, and I can see them giving him a nomination. I'm going on a risk. I'm going on a limb here and putting John M. Chu as my number 5 for Wicked Part 2, Wicked for Good. I think he was so close to getting nominated for Best Director. He even won Critics' Choice, and they actually made a joke saying, they made a thing before they announced the winner. Every person who has won Best Directing went on to be nominated for an Oscar, and he ended up winning, or won or nominated for an Oscar, and he ended up winning, saying, "Well, I guess I'm winning an Oscar or nominated for an Oscar," and they knew he didn't already. So I do think if he can stick the landing, and it's the track record that I think it's gonna have with like some of the Godfather and Godfather 2 and stuff like that. I think he's getting directing. I think if he can land that plane, they're gonna want to congratulate him. Then I think easily PTA can get in there. Like I said, it just depends on the reception of the movie. Jay Kelly, Noah Baumbach didn't get nominated for Marriage Story. Like I said, I think it's following that same that same path. After the Hunt, Luca Guadagnino, like I said, I don't know if this is his time, but this could be a chance. We'll have to see. And it could be the acting movie, but it depends. If it's a truly acting movie, people might forget to recognize the director, so it could not work in his favor as well. Then we have It Was Only an Accident. He won the Palme d'Or. Guillermo del Toro, Frankenstein. If he can pull it off and kind of make a grand movie, but still feel Guillermo del Toro without feeling kind of like too big budget, I think that they will like this movie. And I do think 2 possible contenders are Chloe Zhao for Hamnet and Catherine Bigelow for House of Dynamite. So I want to keep an eye on those 2, see if they rise or fall. But look at the substance that came out of nowhere. And then Coralie Farjat was nominated for Best Director. So these movies could all fall off, and there can be a whole slew of movies that are coming in later in a few months that we don't even know about yet. Best Actress, I have Renata Ryzva for Sentimental Value. I heard she's incredible in this movie, and I heard she was good enough to get nominated for Worst Person in the World. They snubbed her, and I think this movie is going to be almost like we're sorry we snubbed Worst Person in the World. Here's everything for Sentimental Value, because it's good, and 2, they want to say like, sorry for snubbing you. Then I have Julia Roberts, a big return to form kind of movie from what I'm hearing. I think she is one of those people that come in, if she's at all good, they can be like showering her with awards. Then I have Cynthia Erivo. She got nominated for the first one. She's getting nominated for the second one. I think there's very few nominations they can lose, and it's not the acting ones. Then I have Emma Stone for Begonia. I don't know if they're gonna be like similar like Deliver Me from Nowhere. Be like, you won for La La Land. Then not many years later, you won for Poor Things, which is only 2 years ago. Are we tired of Emma Stone? Is it time to maybe like let someone else take her spot? I don't know how the Oscars gonna be thinking, but if she's amazing, she's getting in. So it really depends on, I think, who's in the category and how stacked it is. Then I have Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. Like I said, this movie is very Oscar baity, and I can definitely see her getting this if she goes through a whole range of emotions, which from what I've read about what the book is about, she'll be going through. Then, my 6 through 10, I have Jennifer Lawrence, Die My Love. They said it's a career best, but then I heard somewhere that they said Angelina Jolie in Maria was her career best, and she didn't get nominated for an Oscar. So I'm like, that's true. Just because they say it's a career best doesn't mean she's getting nominated. So I'm having her in the outskirts that she could pop in, but could not. Then I have Amanda Seyfried and Lee. I can see her doing very well in that role. This movie, I feel like, I don't know much about this movie, but I feel like it has potential to be an Oscar role for her. Then I have Tessa Thompson for Hedda. It's going to premiere at TIFF. We'll see how that does. June Squibb, Eleanor the Great. I just been hearing great things about it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think she'll get like maybe Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, stuff like that. And I think it might be like a Hugh Grant situation, and probably not go to the Oscars, but you never know. It could, she could secure the deal and get a nomination for the Best Actress. Then I have Amy Adams, At the Sea. It's Amy Adams. She gets nominated for a lot of movies. Also, the guy who directed Pieces of Woman, who got Vanessa Kirby her Oscar nomination. So, could happen again. Best Actor, Timothée Chalamet, Marty Supreme. I think because of how much people talked about him, and I feel like he was very close to being a contender. I mean, he won SAG for A Complete Unknown. That is going to help him with this race. And I think it will show how much of a leading man he is and how much of like a new Leonardo DiCaprio type he is. I think people are going to want to see him on stage or at award shows and stuff like that. And also he's a great actor, and a lot of his movies that he's in he's nominated in, and sometimes they get Best Picture nominations. So it seems like this movie is a, like, put a bow on it. That's a Best Picture. That's a Oscar contender. Then we have George Clooney for Jay Kelly. I heard the acting is good in Jay Kelly. George Clooney, I feel like this could be like a Descendants for him, where, you know, people fall in love with him. And from what I've heard, I've heard people say about it, they said he is very good and Adam Sandler is very good. We'll get to that in supporting actor. Leonardo DiCaprio, one battle after another. It's Leonardo DiCaprio. My only concern is the same thing that happened with him in Killers of the Flower Moon, but he's more of the only focus, where they're supporting around him. Where in Killers of the Flower Moon there was Lily Gladstone, Robert De Niro, and him, so he kind of got faded in the background, which I don't think is going to happen here. Then we have Jesse Plemons, Begonia. He looks incredible. People love him in Kindness and Kinds of Kindness. I think he's earned the next step of getting a nomination. And Yorgos Lanthimos gets a lot of his actors and actresses nominated. Jeremy Allen White, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Like I said, even if this movie doesn't get him for Best Picture, I think he is securing his spot enough where he's rising star and people are loving him, where they want to recognize him. And people like to recognize, movie biopics, like the person, people who are in movie biopics, they had to recognize them and give them an acting nomination. So then I have Michael B. Jordan. I wasn't sure if Sinners was going to be like the blockbusters that you see where they get a bunch of awards but it's never acting. And then I thought, I don't think it's more of a Dune Part 2 situation. I think it's more of a Barbie, where it's this big movie that people don't consider big. They consider it's like this art house blockbuster in a weird way, which Barbie was. And I do think I still don't know if it's going to happen, but I do think they have a better chance than I thought of them getting acting nominations. So Michael B. Jordan has a chance. They can really campaign this movie, and it is the huge Oppenheimer-like movie of the year. He has a chance. Wagner Moura, The Secret Agent, like I said, Fernando Torres kind of paved this way, and a Brazilian actor has never been nominated, so I feel like Brazil will be pushing this. So we'll see if he can get a nomination. Dwayne Johnson, The Smashing Machine. I feel like The Rock is trying to pivot to like awards now, and I feel like it might not work for this one, but maybe the next one it will. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, they like biopics. This is a biopic. Maybe they'll recognize him. Maybe this will be the biopic they want to recognize. Will it be a little? I heard it's a little kind of like crazy, like Uncut Gems type stuff, and they didn't give it to Uncut Gems. But we'll see. Maybe it's not as much as Uncut Gems. Daniel Day-Lewis, Avenue. It's Daniel Day-Lewis. And then Matthew McConaughey, The Rivals of Amazon King. Like I said, no one's touching this movie, and I'm a little scared it's gonna kind of float away into the oblivion. Best Supporting Actress. Ariana Grande would have won if Zoe Saldana wasn't there, so she's staying by number one. I think she's going to win it. Then I have Elle Fanning, Sentimental Value. I heard she's incredible in this, and I think she brought some good street cred from A Complete Unknown. I think she's been working her way to an Oscar. I think this might be her chance. A.O. Debris, like I said, After the Hunt does seem like an acting movie. I could see Julia Roberts being the only person nominated, but I do think, like A.O. Debris with Jeremy Allen White, her star is rising. They want to recognize her for stuff. So I can definitely see her being nominated. Then we have Jennifer Lopez, Kiss It for Spider-Woman. The trailer looked really good. It gave me Chicago vibes. She looks fantastic. I think it's going to be a very big tech movie. But I think she can get her way in to Best Supporting Actress if they really tried. I think this might be a sorry we snubbed you for Hustlers. Here's this movie. Then Gwyneth Paltrow. It's Gwyneth Paltrow. I feel like when these like actors that haven't been nominated for a while come back and act and are in a great movie, they want to recognize them. Then we have Igna Ibzadar Lias from Sentimental Value. I probably butchered the name. I apologize. They say she's just as good as Elle Fanning. I can see them doing a double nomination for that movie. It's been done many times, so I can see that happening. Laura Dern, Jay Kelly. Do they want to? They just gave her an award in 2019 for Best Supporting Actress for a known Baumbach movie. Will they do it again? I don't know. Emily Blunt, The Smashing Machine. She looked good in the trailer, but we'll see how The Smashing Machine does. Glenn Close, Wake Up Dead Man, and Eyes That Mystery. They get nominated for Best Screenplay, and that's it. But I feel like this one could be different because they're promoting Glenn Close like they're promoting her for an Oscar already. And maybe it might work. Maybe it might be like I've compared it where it's like Jamie Lee Curtis never got nominated and this was her like time to shine. Glenn Close has never won and this is her time to shine. and that'd be really fun to do with a Knives Out movie. And I think that'd be great for the franchise. So we'll see if they can push that, if Netflix can push that, which Netflix is very good at pushing stuff. They give a lot of their movies get nominated. Then I have Regina Hall for One Battle After Another. I heard that really it's like Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn that are really the people who are even considered to be worthy of nominations and like have a decent screen time. Everyone else is barely in the movie, so I don't. Now I'm thinking, is the acting going to be very high? Is the acting nomination count going to be high for One Battle After Another? I'm not sure. I'm putting it in just in case. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie, so I'm being trepidatious and putting it at the bottom. It might fall out, but we'll see when more people see it or it comes out in a few months. If it's true that they're, because some people get nominated for like 5 minutes of screen time. Best Supporting Actor, Adam Sandler, Jay Kelly. I feel like when you hear praise about Adam Sandler being like the best part of the movie, you have to put him in. And yes, he could be number 2 to Stellan Skarsgård for sentimental value, because I heard he's like very worthy of winning the thing. Never been nominated also, so that it's kind of the narratives. Like, I feel like Adam Sandler has always been like, oh, is he gonna get nominated this time? Is he gonna get nominated this time? No, he got snubbed. He's got nominations at kind of the precursors, but never kind of the main event. So is this his time, or is it Stellan Skarsgård's time? I feel like these are the two right now. Could a third person come up? But I feel like this is like the Zoe Saldana, Ariana Grande. They're going to be fighting each other to see who wins. Then we have Andrew Garfield, After the Hunt. I have After the Hunt in a lot of the acting. Like I said, it could fall out. It could just be an acting movie. We'll have to see. This movie is kind of, it's confusing me a little bit. Then I have Sean Penn, One Battle After Another. Like I said, him and Leonardo DiCaprio, they say are the acting, the performances they're worthy of an nomination. So, and they say him might even be more than Leonardo DiCaprio. So we'll see. We'll see how they want to recognize, who they want to recognize for One Battle After Another. Then I have Paul Mescal, Hamnet. He plays William Shakespeare. That is if he can pull off the performance, that is a good enough reason to throw him a nomination. Then we have Jonathan Bailey, Wicked for Good. He got SAG. I feel like he was not in the top 5, and maybe in the top 10. And I think with this one, if he doesn't have as much musical performances, but his role is more complex in this one from the second half of the play. So they might, if they can pull off Wicked for Good and be like amazing, he can come along with this as well. Then I have Jeremy Strong, Deliver Me From Nowhere. He can be doing, back-to-back Oscar nominations. Delroy Lindo, the other person. I think it's going to be, if anyone's going to get nominated for Sinners, it's going to be either Michael B. Jordan or Delroy Lindo. It just depends if it can go past it was a popular movie. We're going to give you a lot of stuff, but not really acting. If it can hit the Barbie level and get acting nominations, he might be there because they stemmed him from Defy Bloods. He's worthy of an Oscar nomination for this movie as well. But I feel like towards the end of the movie, Michael B. Jordan kind of shines a little more. So it really is going to be a tug and pull of who gets nominated. Then I have Mark Hamill, Life of Chuck. They said he was really good. Life of Chuck's falling off, so this will probably fall off. And then Benicio del Toro, One Battle After Another. Like I said, they're saying pretty much Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn are the ones that are going to get nominated or worthy of getting nominated. But I'm just having this in there in case. It's kind of in case of emergency. It probably will fall out once more people, are being talked about. Original screenplay of Sinners. It is literally one of the top 10 most highest-grossing original films. It is the most original film of the year. Not just like it's just conceptually original. And why wouldn't they give it to anyone else? The writing could be great in other movies, but this is literally so original that I feel like you have to give it to them. Then Sentimental Value. They said the script is very good. I have Marty Supreme. Then I have Jay Kelly. Marriage Story was nominated for best screenplay. And then Materialists. The writing for Materialists was very good. And, Celine Song got Past Lives, Best Picture nomination and Screenplay nomination. It's not going to get picture for Materialists, but I do think it has the possibility of possibly getting Screenplay. Depending on if it picks up some awards here and there, if they push it. It did have a very strong screenplay. I think that's its only chances. Great movie, but its only chances are probably screenplay. Then I have House of Dynamite. It could be a very talky dialogue movie with a big cast, political, stuff like that. Rental Family has an interesting idea. That is original, so I can see that. Elle McKay, we'll have to see how that movie is. It Was Only an Accident. And Rivals of Amazon King. possible contenders. Best Adapted Screenplay. I have Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out Mystery. It probably shouldn't be number one, but they've all been nominated, so it's like the most secure one. And if they get Glenn Close in there, it's definitely getting it. Imagine it gets Best Picture. Who knows? We're very early out. These are all still possibilities, not possibilities. There's nothing set in stone yet. So we'll have So it could be anything. It could win. Who knows? Then Begonia. Will Tracy wrote it. He wrote The Menu, wrote Succession, or some episodes of Succession, and the Yorgos Lanthimos paired with a really good writer. Amazing. This is it again. I think it's the Poor Things. It's The Favorite. It's happening again, and I think it's going to do just as well as those, like I've been saying the whole video. One Battle After Another. Wicked for Good. It got nominated in the first one. I think it could hold the spot, unless a lot of other things come in and it makes it fall out. I definitely think Wicked for Good could hold its spot in Best Adapted Screenplay. Life of Chuck. I want to put it in there. I feel like if anything, it's just going to get that. Because they do say the screenplay is really good. I don't know what to do with this movie. I feel like it's going to fall off. No one's going to talk about it anymore. And then towards the end, it might get a few nominations. So that's why I don't want to take it out, but I don't want to put it so high. It's very confusing. Ballad of a Small Player. Edward Berger's very good with Oscars. Both his last two movies have done well. I feel like if anything, it's going to get screenplay. If it's a good screenplay. If it's very small, if it's a very quiet story, I can see the screenplay really shining there. Hamnet. I mean, it's about Shakespeare. I feel like the writing could be really good. Let's see. Deliver Me From Nowhere. Complete Unknown got it. Let's see if this can. Frankenstein. He's gotten screenplay in the past, so let's see. His movies, at least, The Running Man. It depends on the execution of that. If it's a very good movie, and very creative, and and the writing's really good, I can see them. This is where the Oscars like to play with like not traditional Oscar movies and like kind of more genre stuff. So I can definitely see them doing Running Man. So then my two new categories this video is animated feature film and cinematography. Animated feature film is Zootopia 2, Elio, Arco, Animal Farm, The Twits. I think Zootopia 2 and Elio are locks. Disney dominates these. Doesn't always win, but it dominates with nominations. There's usually a Netflix film in there, a foreign film, so it's kind of still early to tell with this, but these are my five. And then The Magnificent Life of Marcel Bouguereau, The Day the Earth Blew Up, Looney Tunes Tale. This has been in the news a lot. Let's see if they want to recognize it for like Best Animated Feature. Nijian 2 made $2 billion in China. Maybe they want to recognize it. Scarlet, Little Amelia, or The Character of Rain. These are all up in the air still. I think top five is the most potential to be nominated for Best Animated Feature Film. And then cinematography. We have Sinners. What they did with cinematography and the IMAX ratio and all that, fantastic. Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro movies, a lot of times when they're nominated for Oscars, cinematography is one of them. Mari Supreme, a period piece. This cinematographer has been nominated 2 times before. One Battle After Another, they're filming in IMAX. It's his biggest movie. They're really going grander with the scope. I can see that happening. And F1. They're saying they're saying the best part about this movie is the cinematography and how they shot it. It's very Top Gun Maverick. I do think there's going to probably be either F1 or One Battle After Another, the IMAX movie, even though Sinners is an IMAX movie, but that's on a different level. It's going to be One Battle After Another or F1. I feel like F1 could push ahead possibly, depending on the reception for One Battle After Another. But they're saying F1 literally like the best part about it is the cinematography and how it's shot and how they shot the racing scenes. But I feel like you're going to see it in that 4, 5, 6 spot, kind of popping back in and out. Then Begonia, Robbie Ryan was nominated for Poor Things and The Favorite. The cinematography looks great. It's more modern, so let's see if they go with a lot more. Let's see if they do the same text as the other two. Those are period pieces, these are modern. Let's see if they can do it interestingly enough where they still want to nominate it for that, including cinematography. But the cinematography did look very good. Wicked for Good, it was in contention. It got a few precursor nominations for cinematography. People were very up in arms about it, about the color grading. The trailer for the second one did look like it's a lot more colorful, so let's see if that helps it. Deliver Me From Nowhere, there's some scenes in black and white, there's some scenes in color. Let's see if that's anything. Hamnet, I feel like I just see the cinematography being really good for that. And Avatar Fire and Ash, possibly. Didn't get nominated for the second one. This is more of a, locked for visual effects, but if they can do some cool, it blurs that fine line. Is it cinematography or is it visual effects? And I feel like they're going to go more visual effects with this movie and chalk it up to it looks beautiful because of visual effects and not cinematography. But there's an option. I can see it looking stunning, and they might want to put it in there or in contention. So those are the Oscar predictions for the month of June. Next month we'll talk about a few more categories. I'll introduce a little more each month at a time, and I think these next 2 months are going to be a little crazy. Let's see what trailers we get. Let's see if any festival dates, because then come August, the end of August and the beginning of September is Venice, and then we're kind of the balls rolling. And it's a lot more of a clearer picture. Let me know who you think is going to get nominated down below. Let me know also what you thought of my picks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Cheers.